I have erred. I made a pretty massive mistake in my videos thus far, and it's time to own up. I plan to compensate everyone at the end of this video, but allow me first to illustrate exactly how I've failed you. Back in the day, there was this spoiled brat named Alexander, and his dream was to conquer the world, much like me. He knew he needed to convince people he was a good leader, however, so his rich parents flew in the best thinker of the time to guide him. The thinker said, "Son, if you want people to listen to you, you have to communicate logically, appeal to their emotions, and establish your credibility as a speaker." Except he said it using stupid fake letters. While my videos radiate with emotion like a cockroach at Chernobyl, who am I? And why would you listen to me? I told you to be flexible with your careers, but for all you know, I've been a delivery driver since I was 16. So let me give you a bit of backstory before I make amends. Coming out of high school, I wanted to get a degree in video game design. I was sold and bought into the idea that you basically needed a degree to be successful, so the thought of not going to college didn't really cross my mind. I was told that was a laughable suggestion and ultimately decided to get a degree in English. The logic being, well, I wanted to write video game stories, and so there's no reason I couldn't learn how to write and then later apply that to video games. I just have a safer backup plan if that fell through. So freshman year, I show up bright-eyed to start my new life as an English major. But the problem was, I was illiterate and only wanted to take writing classes. So I took the absolute bare minimum literature courses and filled my schedule with writing. I actually had a writing professor ask me sophomore year what books I was reading in my spare time. And I, realizing I had to either come up with something on the fly that wasn't the lusty Argonian maid, or tell the truth that I hadn't read anything since high school, said, "Actually, I hate reading. I only like coming up with stories." This triggered an academic ego meltdown, and the professor literally started yelling at me. "I don't know how you're passing my class without reading. You're never gonna be a good writer without reading. You will accomplish nothing in this field if you are not an avid reader." So I did learn a valuable lesson from this experience, but what do you think it was? D, baby, I walked out of that room nodding my head, but secretly livid with my growing disdain toward academia. I just started telling that professor how helpful reading was. I couldn't believe that I was writing without all the tools in my arsenal before. She was so right. Reading greatly improved my writing capability. Guess whose grade skyrocketed despite producing the same damn writing? Junior year, I studied abroad for the whole year, which was an awesome experience. I highly recommend to anyone who can. And I grew significantly, but beyond getting taller, it helped me clarify what I wanted to do. What I haven't mentioned so far is that I've been playing piano since I was 4. And seriously, I'd been taking lessons and competing my whole life, and I gave a paid solo piano performance in a concert hall when I was abroad. This isn't simply to toot my own horn, though, let's be honest, I do love a little tootin'. But to give you the impression that despite my academic choices having nothing to do with piano, music wasn't just a fleeting hobby. I rented a keyboard to keep up with my practice, but something noteworthy happened by the end of the year. I happily practiced piano when I was abroad, but I hadn't written a single word of my own volition. Okay, back in the States and I've got a new plan. Go to a music conservatory for a master's in piano performance since I was still gonna graduate with an English degree. To audition for a conservatory, you have to put together what they call a repertoire with certain requirements. Now, as funny as it would be to dress up and audition with something like For Release, you typically want your pieces to display a wide range of virtuosic skill. In other words, we went balls out, and my teacher and I put together my audition plan and got to work. And things were going quite well until the last few months of my senior year when my hands gave out on me. Whoops. Now I can't play piano anymore and have to wear a bunch of stupid-looking splints and orthotics. Okay, back to the drawing board. But as it turns out, and this isn't true for everyone, I'm stupid, there isn't a whole hell of a lot you can do with just an English major that makes a lot of money. And this was important to me because I wasn't writing novels and pursuing my passion, I was acquiescing to a field for practical reasons. So, more school. But this time it wasn't quite as stupid. I learned my lesson about flexibility and applied to what I thought was the most malleable, applicable to whatever I want degree, if not a little soulless. A Master's of Business Administration. So I spent 2 years memorizing 3-letter abbreviations, learning how to use jargon to say nothing, and looking at 2x2 graphs designed by Michael Porter. Trust me, this is funny, just esoteric. And I used some connections to end up in a job where I basically don't do anything and get paid more than I'm worth. In other words, an MBA. Now let me be clear, there's no universe where I call my career my passion, but there are benefits like giving me free time to do stuff like this. So if you've watched this video or go back to see it now, just know I wasn't entirely full of garbage. Now, you must want to know how I'm going to make up for this blunder. I'd really like you to accept my most sincere apology, so for every person who clicks on this video from here, I'll give